are live, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning and welcome to 1 Million Cups on a sort of gloomy outside, but happy inside on Zoom, at least to be here today and to catch up with everybody. So thank you everybody for being here. We do have our awesome group. Thanks for our new folks who have joined. Thanks for our returning folks. And we have some guests we haven't seen in a while that are past organizers that we're super excited to have here. Just a quick reminder, if you can download the 1 Million Cups app and check in, that would be great. It did work last week. I did download it and check in. So it helps make sure that as we work with our national foundation, they know what resources to send us based on how many people are attending and engagement. And Rosemary can show you her swag later, but swag goes to our presenters too. So in case you haven't been to 1 Million Cups before, we do focus on these three pillars: entrepreneurship, community, and education. We don't think of this as networking. It's really about building deep relationships and creating a community of business owners who help each other. When we think about the purpose, it's all about making launching a business easier, removing barriers. It can be lonely being a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business owner. And this is a community where we try to support each other and help each other through these different stages of growth. So the other thing I'll point out is we're all volunteer. We're not investors. So we don't have pitches. We have presentations. Doesn't mean we don't take it seriously, but we're not asking for folks to cut a check at the end of the session. We're asking a challenge question. And the presenter shares their challenge question, and then we give feedback. So it's all about being authentic, connecting, and helping where we can. It is safe and supportive. So there are no bad ideas. There's just lots of questions, lots of ideas. If you're attending, please drop the questions in chat because we want to make sure we keep track of any feedback or thoughts for Lisa, our presenter today. As I said, this is volunteer led and we do a lot. We try to have ways to engage on social media. We do a weekly newsletter. So please reach out and follow us on our different channels. YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. If anybody wants to step up and put us on TikTok, go for it. But for now, these are the channels we're on. And these are organizers. So it does take a team of folks because many hands means less work for each person individually. So thank you to Rosemary, John, Rutenberg. Thank you to our founder, Donnell, for making all this happen for 4 years running. So no small feat. We're almost our own like successful business, except as volunteer and not for profit. But hey, who's counting? It also takes brand ambassadors. So we've been really fortunate. We have a great group of folks who spread the word every week and get presenters to come and present out to the group so we can help them. So we have Reggie on the call. Reggie, if you want to do a quick intro now that you've gotten a promotion and you're a dad and we should take you more seriously now. So go ahead, if you can introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hey everybody, Reggie Holmes with Enthuse Creative. We do brand strategy and design for small businesses. I've been a member of the community for 3 to 4 years, pretty much since the beginning. And I love coming out, hearing about the latest and greatest ideas, and just getting inspired by people that are creating their dreams and the future that they want. So love being here and glad to be back.
We love having you as our brand ambassador. And you always make our meetings better when you're here. So thanks, Reggie. So for sponsors, we do have copy sponsors every month. If you're interested in being a sponsor, there's no cash involved, especially while we're virtual. We just want to have you show up and talk about your business for 2 minutes. So Office Evolution is a co-working space in Tysons. They have fantastic virtual memberships as well as space. They host events as well. So do check them out. John Yu is the franchise owner of that location. So it's great having an office space, a shared working space that's owned by a business owner, not just a big corporate entity. So John is fantastic. He's not here today, which is why you're hearing from me talking about Office Evolution. We are super lucky. We get to hear from our presenter twice today. So Lisa, as our coffee sponsor, if you want to talk about your business, and then we're going to come back and talk about your business some more.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I do with Leap High Creative. I support agencies and small nonprofits by providing communications and white label services for WordPress and content. But I have an idea about how I can take that a step further that I'll share during my presentation.
Well, thank you for being our coffee sponsor, and thank you for presenting and coming to our meetings often and being involved and engaged. Content matters. I think content is queen, not king, but hey,
Yeah.
who's counting? So just a quick reminder for our virtual attendees, definitely turn your videos on so we can see you. Lots gets lost in translation. If you're driving, keep your video off and be safe. Just listen. What we're going to do for folks who may be new, we'll do a 6 to 8 minute presentation from Lisa. We'll hear her business challenge question, and then we will go around and folks can ask questions, offer insights, put ideas in chat, but you can also raise your hand virtually under reactions. And we'll have our moderator, who I believe is John Rutenberg today. He will call on you and just make sure we have some method to the madness kind of a thing. So again, please make sure you're on mute otherwise. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa with Leap High Creative to tell us about your business.
Hi, so as I mentioned, I have started Leap High Creative to support small businesses and emerging nonprofit organizations. I've also done some background subcontracting and a lot of content editing and that kind of thing. And as I've worked, I've realized that there's a whole set of people who just aren't getting served by the traditional agency model and also do not want to deal with Squarespace or Wix. Next slide. So I have come up with a concept called Grow As You Go Web Services that provides the web services a new business needs as they need them instead of selling them a package that they can't afford. And it breaks things down into stages. So I can do it quickly and effectively because I'm using templates and services that I know that they don't have to figure out. But I also ask them to do some of the work in terms of finding images and things like that. So I've just started testing this and I want to make sure that I get all my T's crossed as I do that. Next slide. A little bit about me. I've spent 12 years in faith-based nonprofit communications for big organizations that could afford a communications director, and then founded my own business to provide the same kind of quality content and design to emerging organizations, because I see those organizations being left behind because they're not able to produce professional content or great design, and they need just a little bit of help. Like it's just a few nudges here and there. Usually they know their business really, really well. Communicating it to others is hard, but they're not ready for a branding specialist or a full service agency. So I love working with that set of people. Part of what has made me very aware of the economic challenges for new businesses is that I'm a foster mom who's part of a multi-generational, multicultural household. And that has brought me into contact with a lot of small businesses that are intimidated by the process of setting up a web design and things like that because of the people that I've worked with. I have 2 foster children who are going through the immigration process, and I have 2 foster grandchildren who give me joy every day. So next slide. So the problem that I solve is helping new businesses or people with side gigs who want good content and a website professionally done at an affordable price. Next slide. This is one of my beta clients. Someone that I had worked for before in another concept came to me and said, hey, I want to test this concept of recycling e-waste. So I can't spend a lot of money. Can you build me a website? So for $300, I built him this website. One of the reasons I put the entire front page on mobile on this slide is because I'm not sure he ever looked at the desktop version. Like his clientele are all looking for this solution on their phones, and that's where we really focused the design. So it was a very mobile first process. I know he was giving me notes as he looked at the phone. The site includes a scheduling embed from Square on multiple pages so that people can just schedule their free pickups very easily. And eventually the goal is obviously that there are certain pickups that people will pay for, and that will be covered in Square as well. Because I host on SiteGround and I can do shared hosting, I can offer them a really great price for their hosting so that they're not paying for more hosting than they need, which is what happens to a lot of starting businesses. They wind up paying $30 a month and they're having, 2,000 visits a month, if that, and they just don't need it. So this client will probably upgrade to even more because they called yesterday and we're like, we need to start the e-commerce side of this. When can you talk about that with us? So we're having a meeting this afternoon. They've already gone through their beta essentially, and they're ready to move on. And this is exactly what I want to have happen, because eventually they will be ready for a full service agency that can build out really custom things when they get to that point. But in the meantime, we can keep them growing and able to go and serve their clients and test their market. So you can see that I've been doing this since 2018. My goal is to do 3 or 4 launch sites a month and care plans for the rest of the year. And then start, as I get up to speed, start automating the intake to make it really easy for people to just sign up online, have a quick conversation with me, and off they go. And we build the site and everything's tracked and all that. So next step. My customers are solopreneurs, artists, makers, crafters, and consultants. So people who build things, do things, and maybe they're at farmers market, maybe they have an Etsy store and they just want to have a consolidated web presence in case Etsy starts messing with them or whatever. This is here for them. I can also help small business owners, but that's not really my target. If you're an established business and you're billing over $100,000 a year, this is not the right service for you. It's really for people starting and testing. And then obviously I will help anyone who wants a website, but this is not necessarily for them. If you just want a website, we're going to need to have more conversation. Whereas a 1 to 3 page site, you know exactly what you want to say pretty much right off the bat. It's easy to figure out where we're going to go. So other choices. So with DIY, with Wix and Squarespace, it's very frustrating and time consuming for people who don't use computers a lot or don't necessarily have a sense of design. They get frustrated. They don't have a professional outcome. It's not working for them in terms of actually presenting their business or their work well, and the website becomes more frustrating than helpful. For this market, traditional designers is not a great step for them because it's a slower turnaround. Like I can build these sites in a week, in 3 days to a week, depending on when I get the materials. For a lot of traditional designers, their method just takes longer. And sites like this are usually starting at $1,200 just to deal with all the customizations and things like that. And that process is more frustrating than helpful sometimes for small business owners who just want to launch and just want to have a website presence. So while I work for agencies and I love the work that they do and I enjoy that, it's not the right service for everyone. So next slide. So what makes my company unique is that we provide done-for-you design at an affordable house price with reasonable ongoing care and hosting packages so that you are not going broke with this piece of your business that you have to have for legitimate business presence. To, everyone is told when they start a business, oh, where's your website? And so it's an essential part, but so many people are getting priced out of the market. And so these grow as you go services are perfect for solopreneurs and people with side gigs and people with hobbies and crafters who just want to have a presence and make it easy for people to get in touch with them, even on their other platforms. Maybe all they need is a landing page to send people to their Etsy store. This is easy, it's well done, and it hits the market in a way that other services can't because it's done for you. So how can I effectively test this grow as you go web services concept? Like, what do I need to be able to, as I go through beta projects like the one that I showed you, and links that I put into the chat for like High Gallery. I've done a portfolio project and I turned that around in a week. How do I set up a beta test really? Like, I'm just going through and taking care of clients as they pop up. How do I make it an effective test for the market?
Well, first, great job with the presentation. Thank you. We love people who make it easier for a small business to launch. And you also did a great job explaining what you do, and the case study was fantastic. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John Rudenberg to moderate. Just as a reminder, if you open up chat in Zoom, you can drop questions there. You can use the button under reactions to raise your hand. But John will be the end all be all for who's up next. If he doesn't call on you right away, don't be offended. We're making sure that we're keeping track of everybody. But do make sure you ask questions or give ideas. This is a safe, open space to help Lisa.
Yes, and I'm very open to the hard questions because I know this is a challenging idea. It's not something that necessarily scales in a way that some people would suggest is necessary for a creative professional. So.
Okay, so we're open for questions. And Lisa, congratulations. My advice to you is when someone asks a question, give a nice short answer, because it's more important that you hear the questions and suggestions than we hear all of the answers, even though the answers are important. So I see Rosemarie's hand right away, and also I'll be checking the chat as well. I see Reggie up, so let's start with Rosemarie.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for your presentation. Congrats on finding a need in the market and stepping up to fill it. It really came to me as you were talking that the people that need your help the most are people who are just starting to figure out what kind of business they want, or this is their second or third side gig, or they're not sure if they want to start a business and they want to see if they can get a little bit of traction.
Right.
I would recommend a couple of things. One, if you can find some local accelerators for entrepreneurs and offer your services as a mentor, you can talk through websites and all that kind of stuff, all the other work that you do in the background, and then offer up to help them through your services. Because that's where you're going to get people with the most need. They're focused on whatever it is that the problem is they're solving, not necessarily how to get all of the piece parts of their business up and running. And because of your affordability level, they'll be more interested in talking to you. So that's one thing. I'll put all this into the chat in a minute. The other idea I had was talking with certainly the local EDA organizations, so the economic development, they do have entrepreneurial classes and entrepreneurial, I'll call them conventions or, one day kind of things. Your ability to help folks in that environment would be great. The third thing I'm going to recommend is doing what you did here with as many 1 million cups as you can across the country. The ones that are virtual will be happy to host you the way we have. And you'll get your word out. There's a lot of folks in 1 Million Cups communities that could use your help as well. So I'll put them all in the chat, but great job. I love what you're doing, Lisa. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Excellent. Reggie, then Dory.
Hi, Lisa. Great presentation. And as a fellow creative, I understand what the challenge of the people that you're looking to target with this offering. And I do think it's valuable because of the price point and also the fact that it's done for you. So great job in providing something that a lot of people can really use, just from what I see. So I think that it's really kind of for people that are testing a business concept. And so I would sort of pitch it that way, that, you know, it's a like a test website almost for people that are testing a business concept. And so people that are serious enough to want to put some money behind an idea that they have, but obviously aren't ready to make this huge investment and really don't need that. And I think there are a lot of Facebook groups that are for like small business owners, and I see people in there all the time. But they pitch the website on how cheap it is, as opposed to the fact that it's an investment, it's an affordable investment, and you know, you can compel them with what it actually does for them. And so I would say continue to lean into that type of messaging, because there are a lot of people that are just like, get a cheap website, and you know, that's just not the way to go. Like, you have an opportunity to really add value. And so just make sure that you talk about those things. And then I would also say, you know, on LinkedIn, they do, people can say, hey, I'm open to work. Like, a lot of people are transitioning between jobs, and they maybe want to consult, or they have some kind of side thing that they want to elevate now that they're looking for a new position. So I would just do some searches for people that are hashtag open to work, or kind of looking to do some consulting and that type of thing. And those are people that, you know, I think would be interested in, well, let me get the website at least built so I'm somewhat official. And then I can start to see if I have something viable here. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Dory, and then I'm going to go to the chat room and ask John Norris and Patrick May to mention a little bit about their comments.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Lisa, thank you for sharing this. As a fellow creative and photographer, I know that a lot of people in my niche specifically don't, especially when they're new, not necessarily when they're established, but when they're brand new, they're not necessarily looking at the fact that they need the website because they can communicate what they do on social media. And I think that's where everybody hangs out. And those are the people exactly who need someone like you, who can put together something simple and not overwhelming in a way that isn't going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars. So I definitely see a need for this specifically in not necessarily my specific niche, but in business, small businesses in general. So I think you're definitely satisfying a need there. But I wanted to ask you, how would you address that objection of someone saying, well, I don't need that website because I can do everything that I need to do on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok in a way that gets them to start thinking about what you do, because I think that would be really important to your messaging, because that's kind of how people who are just starting out are thinking about what they do.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think what I would suggest to that person is, look, get your domain name and get a landing page that links to your social media, so that at least you have the digital real estate. And as
Right.
your business matures, you'll be able to decide how you need to use that website. But if you don't get that domain and you take off as an influencer, somebody else is going to snatch it, and then you have to pay thousands of dollars. So
Great. Thank you.
Excellent. John Norris.
Why are you always picking on me, man? Why are you always picking on me? I sat in the back of the classroom like you did, Rutenberg.
That's why I pick on you. I know the guys in the back of the room have the answers.
I was the one getting in trouble, getting the erasers and chalk thrown at me like you did. I know
I
that.
had my pea shooter. We used to.
I was a teacher doing that, you guys. So
Oh,
We didn't like you.
exactly.
All
Hey,
right.
Lisa. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I actually love the kids who are disruptive, because it told me they were thinking, but we did have to like
Ugh.
calm down the class. So what are you thinking, Mr. Norris?
First of all, great job. And on a personal note, you know, you're an impressive woman for what you've done in your personal life and taking on those responsibilities. So God bless you. That's more than anything we discussed today. I had put an idea in there about working with the SBDCs, the Small Business Development Centers. There's one in they're in every state. So Maryland has its own SBDC, Virginia. So I put the link to their website. George Mason has one. I know there's one in Loudoun County and Leesburg. I'm saying physical offices. But, you know, when I started my most recent business, you know, I signed up for newsletters, and we would go to meetings, and people like you can provide content So you could actually be a featured speaker to talk to, whoever signs up about the importance, say, of having a website and how you can do it affordably, and, kind of gives you a way to establish yourself as a thought leader and somebody in that space. And then my buddy Pat May, I'll steal some of his, Gresham put SCORE. I'm a SCORE company, and I can tell you that that's another great group. That's also through the Fairfax County Economic Development group, whatever it's called. And that's another where you could speak and provide your expertise to small businesses, just people who sign up. It's just a great way. And then, someone put on here like chambers of commerce, any kind of small business, you just want to go speak. I mean,
Okay.
You have a lot of knowledge. People want to hear what you have to say. I would.
Okay. Thank you.
Patrick.
Yes, so I've seen like a lot of small businesses that will still use email addresses that are like their business name at gmail.com. And so like it takes like a little bit of like technical background to set up like whatever at businessname.com. I was wondering if you could cross-sell that or like add that to your package. And I think that's something that really raises a professionalism and something that like they could use your help with.
Right. I do actually have a package for that. So people are interestingly resistant, even when I tell them we can just set it up and forward it to your other email. Like, I don't know what the deal is. But yes, we do have that. I can do that.
Cool.
Great. Jen.
So thanks, Lisa, for a great presentation. I had a couple of thoughts on other markets to consider. So I definitely think for small businesses who are starting, you change your business and your notions and everything in the first year or two, because you're trying to figure out who the heck am I actually marketing to. So I love the pricing and this idea of grow as you go. There's another audience though that are for speakers. So people who become speakers, want to become speakers, they may already have a business website. However, they need a personal brand website. And it doesn't need to, be crazy complicated. They just need a landing page. They might need a landing page and a bio page, or a landing page bio and please book me page. And so I think for speakers, that could be one where it's, you could charge more potentially, but you might offer other things. Like maybe you coordinate with a headshot photographer. Maybe you coordinate with, folks like Dory, right? Where you can incorporate more expensive content because they need that to be able to start being taken seriously as a speaker. So that's a thought. And I do think, Reggie brought up the emotional message. Not only do you help business owners be taken seriously, it's not about what the business owner thinks. If they think they need a website, it's what does their audience think? And when people go to Google, which is what they do, they're Googling to find people. And the two things that come up are their LinkedIn profile and hopefully a website. And so I think the other perk behind having a website is that you start to be known to Google and you start to build, credibility with Google and from a search engine standpoint. So I think those are all key things. I love Pat's point about, yes, you should actually have a professional email. Those things all matter. And if you want to start charging money and raising prices, you need to be professional like that. Yeah. I had one question and then I'll turn it back over to John. One of the things that I think is important with Grow As You Go is potentially creating content also. Do you have a part of your package that includes just a monthly update or piece of content creation for the business owner? Is that something that's an upsell or how do you view that?
Yeah, that's an upsell. So within, like obviously the lowest packages, we keep the website running and make tiny changes. And then at, a higher level, you can get a little bit more text. And then obviously I can write pages for you for a particular price. And if you're a member, you get a little bit of a discount on that so that you're not spending huge amounts all the time. But I do have that content development piece in mind for helping people grow, and also, their emails and things like that. I've already been asked by the person who, by the artist who does High Gallery, to like proofread some of her pitch letters as she goes out to businesses to get them to buy her work. So I do offer that.
Excellent. Great points, both of you. question for you. You mentioned scaling, and I realize you're at the front end of this, but have you thought about hiring a high school kid or a college kid or one of your kids, if they're of the age
Yeah.
where they could in fact begin to do some of these pages?
Yes, and I actually, part of my goal, because I have a kid who's like very into computers, but doesn't think I work for a living, because I'm not doing something with my hands, because that's their definition of work. So I want to help him this summer with a side gig and be like, hey, I know you want to work with your hands. I also have this for you. So, to kind of help him see what his future could be if he chose a mix of both technology and work with his hands. So I do want to do that for him.
Yeah, I think that in order to free you up to be the creative one,
Mhm.
you need some backup, if you will, to do the production.
Yeah.
Also, and I put this in the chat, and I think Jen touched on it a little bit. When someone says, why do I need a website?
Mhm.
Because your buyers expect you to have a website. It's just like in the day of having a brochure.
Yeah, it is. It's an online brochure. It's a way for people to know you. I know one of the things that I considered for a family member who was graduating was, does she want a website to establish herself? She wound up getting a job and is fine. But, I also have a family member who turns out to be a star pitcher. And I've said to her parents, let's get her domain so that if that's something she actually pursues in college, she's already set. And that kind of thing. So there's definitely a market for like personal sites that are there to be with a person as they grow and establish their online presence and control it, as opposed to being on social media where they can't. So
Great point.
Reggie has another question.
Yeah, Reggie.
Yeah, it's kind of like a suggestion, I guess, based on where the conversation was going. But like, it's a great kind of like a gift idea, actually. For that graduate, for that person that is, creating a side hustle or whatever, and you want to figure out a way to support this person. Like, well, we're going to get you this starter package to get up and running online. So that could be a way to do it as well. And thinking about getting your beta group together, you can maybe have like a founders group, like the first 10 that sort of sign up once you establish this kind of beta program. They maybe get some kind of enhancement that carries with them as long as they're with the service. But it's a very special group, and they're going to sign up for the service, but they're also going to be part of getting this research, testimonials, and things like that. So they know, like, okay, we're going to be doing more tracking as we go through it, but they get the value of the offering too. So.
Yeah.
Rosemarie.
So I just want to follow up on something John Norris put out there, which I thought was great. He talked about the SBDC. They run very specific boot camps for people who are anticipating building companies called ICAP. The Mason Economic Center, so the MEC, they work in conjunction with SBDC in Virginia to hold those at their various MEC campuses. Great idea to reach out to, if you know anyone there. If you don't, I think some of us can connect you, just to help folks through that process. A lot of people attending ICAP are trying to figure out if the idea they have is actually a business, and this would really help them.
Yeah. What is ICAP?
Jen,
Never
might
mind.
remember.
Commercialization program. So it's taking your idea to becoming a product, commercializing it.
Yeah, it's a very process-focused approach to validating that your good idea actually has a market. And it's all about talking to prospective customers and re-looping through. It's not about messaging per se, it's about whether or not the idea you have has a market.
Right.
And part of what's going on is these are people who are looking to start businesses and they're focused on the product. They're not really focused on the business around it. So offering them something that will allow them to quickly stand up a website, quickly get that part of it done and not part of their worry process. So I actually put that in my earlier comments, but the other thing that I was thinking was also, in addition to that, you might want to do something like just post on Upwork for a little while and see people are going to look for what you're offering at the point of needing it. And you want to be there to meet that. So you could either set aside a small amount of money to do Google ads or do something on Upwork, or I won't say Thumbtack because I think that's more like actually getting your hands dirty kind of jobs. But gig stuff like that.
Well, Thumbtack might be the place to like meet the people who need the service, but I don't know, because like those are where these service providers are offering some of their services, but we'll see. That's an interesting point.
I've got Jen, then John Norse again.
So from answering your challenge question, which sometimes we get off on a tangent, we have great ideas, but it's not quite answering your question. To do a beta test, what I would recommend is having a page on your website for sign up where there's only 5 spots or only 10 spots, whatever you can manage, right? Because you also don't want to have a beta test where it's like 50 people come to you and want a website. So if you say, gosh, I am launching a beta test program, I'm going to do 3 rounds. We're going to do 5 companies in June, 5 in July, 5 in August. It's limited. So first come, first serve. And maybe they even do a tiny application process because they have to tell you who, what are they trying to do? What materials do they currently have? Make it a teeny bit hard, honestly, for people to sign up because you want to have the right client. And if you can control the supply, then you can create the demand. And so I would recommend from a beta test standpoint, identify how many testers you need. What do you really want to learn from it? Include that in the application process. And then you can push it out to Row and Tree or to Office Evolution, the different locations, to people who are starting and, seeing if they can, if they're interested in signing up. Right. But I would definitely create and control your supply and demand.
Excellent.
Yeah.
John Norse.
I don't go on Etsy, but I'm thinking that there's a ton of small mom and pop individual solopreneur all over there. I mean, it's people, and even eBay, I imagine there are people all over there with these small businesses that are just trying to find, cash flow and sell some product. And even things like farmers markets, those vendors at farmers markets and flea market, just in the community type stuff. I feel like, that's why you've seen this opportunity. But those people, I think about when I first started, I built my website with Wix. It was a disaster. But, had we had someone like you, obviously would have saved our life. So I think small businesses, especially like the real micro businesses, are just starving for help. I mean, it just, I've walked that walk. I can speak it. So.
Great point. Great. Hey, to the group, isn't Lisa Shapiro, one of our ambassadors, heavily involved with ICAP? Do you know Lisa Shapiro?
We've been at a couple of meetings like this, or possibly this one, a couple of times, but we've never had a face-to-face. So I should probably set
That's
that
an
up.
easy connection. Yeah, she could explain ICAP and guide you through it.
I can connect you with Mason Enterprise Center in Fairfax.
For
Cool.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, question for you. To date, what have you done to find potential clients on your own?
Nothing. So
Okay.
that I've had, and that's part of like, I think Reggie and Russ can say this, like often as creatives, we're so busy creating that we don't take care of our own marketing and our own development. And so part of being here was wanting to listen to the feedback about, is this viable and how can I move forward? And I think Jen's idea about a landing page on my website is a great step, a great way to go to start it.
Also,
Because the people that I've gotten either I worked with them before or somebody referred them. Russ was the gallery link that I provided as a sample came to me through Russ. So
excellent, excellent. Great. John, another question, or is your hand just still up? Okay. So if there are no other questions at the moment, I'm going to invite Donnell Johns to, wait, Patrick, am I seeing a hand up?
Yes, so I'm looking at nerdrecycling.org and I see that it doesn't link back to your website. Is that like a discount that you could cut them so that people who find them can find you and you start building like a more of a search presence?
that might be a great idea. It's not something that all designers do, but it might be worthwhile during the beta process. So
Excellent, excellent. So one of the comments that Jen made about controlling demand by limiting the number that you would take on, I think is really smart. And it creates an aura.
yeah.
And so I think that's cool. So I seem to have lost Donnell on my page. Is Donnell still in the room?
Here he comes.
Sorry, okay. Sir, may I turn it over to you?
Yes. So first of all, thank you for an amazing presentation. Your presentation is actually being, it's live right now in the Veterans Growing America Facebook group.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that.
And so there's over 700 and almost 800 people in that group. And some of them may need your services. So if you could tell us right now how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. I am available at leaphighcreative.com. You can email splash@leaphighcreative because I want to help you go as you grow, leap high and make a splash. And my phone number is 571-536-8944. You are welcome to text me and say, hey, I'm a vet in Donnell's group. And as the daughter of a vet, I will take very good care of you.
I didn't know that. So that's even better.
My dad was an airman for 10 years before.
Oh man, so you're in the family already. So definitely you're a daughter of a veteran is a part of our family. So, well, my final question to you is, what can our 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Oh my gosh, refer for the beta test. I'll send a link to everyone once I get my landing page ready. So if you have people or ideas or things that you think would be a great candidate for that beta test, let me know. And that would be a great help. And all these suggestions have been wonderful.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Jen.
Yeah.
So speaking of all of the people that you might refer to Lisa to build a website are all of the people you used to refer to 1 Million Cups. They are people who might have a business challenge question, like how do I get started? At the same time, maybe there's a business who's wanting to pivot. Maybe they are going back to asking some challenging questions about how to navigate hybrid now that things, we're just seeing things constantly shift. If there is someone who is a great business owner and they're just stuck, that's a great referral. They get free time, free brain think from this group, which is amazing. So please send them to 1millioncups.com/Fairfax. We do need presenters. Lisa is our last presenter that is scheduled. We have some presenters in the hopper, but we really do need folks to refer and send businesses. We are a very friendly lot. You can tell, even though John has a pea shooter, but he hasn't used that for decades. So it's okay. But we'll help you craft your slides. We'll help you prepare. We'll make sure you get the most out of the session. So if you're nervous about presenting, please don't be. We work with you in advance.
Can I
So who
just
do you know?
interrupt?
Yeah, of course,
Because-
especially since I commented about you, please.
Well, so I tried to use my pea shooter. It hit my display and smacked me right in the face.
Oops.
Some might say karma, but as you can see, we have lots of open slots. So please refer folks. Again, it can be a question that maybe doesn't seem like a hard one, but it's still getting someone stuck, right? It's an equal opportunity problem solving. So send entrepreneurs our way. If you would like to become an organizer, we'd love to have you. We meet for 30 minutes each week. And then of course we divide and conquer during the week and prepare for this and lead this. So it's a great way to make a big difference. It's a great way to give back. Again, we're all volunteer. There are a lot of events on the Central Fairfax website. Does anybody have an event they want to share or talk about? I'll kick us off. I'm giving a talk on building your brand and business on LinkedIn with the Mason Enterprise Center, June 1st over lunch. So if you like to eat and learn at the same time, please come and hang out. You can register at mec-fairfax.org. Any events from folks that they want to
Jen, is that in person?
That's a good question. I think it is virtual at the moment,
Okay.
but I will get back to you if it's a hybrid. But I think it is just virtual for now.
So we have an event, Veterans Growing America has an event June 11th at Fort Meade. And so if you're a veteran or a military spouse that has access to that base, I highly encourage you to be there. And then we also have an event on June 18th, and that will be at Fort Belvoir, which is closer to everybody here. You can actually get on Fort Belvoir with a driver's license. What's the new driver's license called? The Real ID. So you can get on with a Real ID and a passport. So.
Okie dokie, gotta be legit.
And then we also have Rochelle is going to be a vendor at the one at Fort Meade.
Yay. Okay,
You, Rochelle.
very, very exciting. Donnell's doing amazing work. I know Donnell is supposed to be applying to present and ask some more challenge questions. So hopefully he will apply.
It's a super easy application, and just for going through the presenters slides was really helpful for me to think about my business. And the hardest part really was thinking of the question, because I had like 1,000 and I had to come up with one that would be appropriate for the group. So.
Well, first, thank you for being deliberate and thinking through that. It is important to ask the right question. But hopefully it was helpful and you got a lot of great input and feedback.
I did.
For folks who have joined, do download the chat, right? We'll stop recording to Facebook Live right now. But again, just keep in mind 1millioncups.com/Fairfax, and you can apply to present here. So thank you again, everyone.